Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Daily Drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic today is Carolina postseason basketball, as in roster construction for next season. It is fully underway. This past Monday, player exit meetings began. We've already seen some Tar Heels enter the portal. We're going to see a lot of activity around the program here over the next month to fortify the roster it will take into battle next season. And what we're doing here this week with a series of 4 daily drops, our daily drops range on all kinds of stuff, but I wanted to connect 4 of them here, each one identifying a different area of absolute need that must be addressed through the portal in order for Carolina to become elite again. Elite should be the only goal, not pretty good or competitive or proud of their fight. This is Carolina basketball. The only standard is being elite. To me, being elite is getting a number 1 seed in the tournament. That means you've had a great regular season. There have been 9 Tar Heel teams this century that have been number 1 seeds. Overall, historically, since the seeding process started in 1979, no other school has had more number 1 seeds than UNC. So Carolina fans know what a number 1 seed looks like. You've seen it many times. Will you see it again? Will you see it again under the current regime? We don't know. You saw it last year, and that team had a lot of the traits and characteristics that we're identifying in these 4 drops, this series of 4 drops. The first one, we talked about perimeter shooting. The second one, we talked about rebounding. In this one, we're going to talk about defensive efficiency and how you look at defensive efficiency. And quite frankly, in no other statistical area are the numbers skewed more than what the Tar Heels did against what kind of competition. So I've broken it down into the 11 games against teams that played in the NCAA tournament, that made the NCAA tournament, versus the 26 games, quad 1 games, that is, by the way, not just teams. Carolina played 11 quad 1 games against teams that made the NCAA tournament. The other 26 games were either not quad 1 or not quad 1 games against teams that were in the tournament. American won its league and made the tournament. We're not going to pay any attention to that. That was one of Carolina's early laughers. All right, so when you look at Ken Palm, which is what I trust and respect the most, Ken Palm does a really good job. A lot of people in the media take a look at Ken Palm's adjusted efficiency numbers and effective percentage numbers. Those are really good barometers. Carolina's defensive efficiency ranking is 47. That's pretty good. That's not bad at all. However, let's look at some numbers here. And then we're really going to break it down and illustrate how far Carolina was this year at being elite. There's a massive cavern between where they were and where elite is. A couple of other numbers very quickly. Number 111 in effective field goal percent defense. Number 305 in turnovers forced. Number 156 in 3-point defense. And number 106 in 2-point defense, which is field goal percentage defense inside the arc. So all of that factored out, and some other things factored out to number 47 overall. Now, here are the numbers. I'm going to read numbers. I'll try to go slowly so you guys can let it absorb. In the 11 quad 1 games against teams that played in the NCAA tournament, the opponent shot 48.9% from the field. In the other 26 games, opponents shot 40.4% from the field. In the 11 quad 1 games against teams that made the NCAA tournament, opponents shot 40.1% from 3-point range. In the other 26 games, 30.3%. In the 11 quad 1 games against teams in the NCAA tournament, the opponents averaged 17.2 assists, 13 turnovers a game. In the other 26, they averaged 10.1 assists and 10 turnovers a game. So both were down. Here's the kicker. This one just stands out big time. In the 11 games against teams that played in the NCAA quad one games against teams that played in the NCAA tournament, the opponents averaged 91.9 points a game. That's 92 points a game, guys. Those 11 elite opponents averaged 92 points a game against the Tar Heels. In the other 26, they averaged 67.4. You're talking a difference of 24.5 points. That's how far away Carolina was defensively and just in general from being elite. To me, the numbers are there. We articulated it very clearly that they need to enhance rebounding. With the 3-point podcast, that was about what they must replace. The rebounding one was where Carolina must enhance, and it's far away from being in the range of a number one seeded Carolina team. They're not near elite on the glass. Here, this clearly illustrates this program was not close to being elite defensively. The numbers simply do not lie, and quite frankly, it's a disturbing difference of 24.5 points versus those elite teams as opposed to the run-of-the-mill teams. There's a lot of satisfaction people got beating those run-of-the-mill teams, and I certainly played it up late in the year because of how they were doing it. It was more offensively than anything else because I thought offense was as big an issue earlier in the year as defense was. Offense got better. But these numbers are concerning if you're a Carolina fan. And what makes it even more concerning is how do you address getting better defensively through the portal? This is where having a GM and people under him can come in handy. A year ago, when Hubert's running the show and they're in the Sweet 16 when the portal opens, they're having to do what he calls speed dating, and that's how you make mistakes in the portal. How many players did they bring in from the portal? How many of them were good defensive players? How many of them would grade it out well on that end of the floor? It was hard for Hubert in the program, especially with some of the things that Hubert had a tough time getting over about the handshake. The kid's hand is out instead of like this. Hubert wasn't so interested. So he hamstrung himself, and they were more hamstrung because the program didn't yet have a GM. They didn't yet have a vetting process in place. Now they do. So the chances are going to be better that they find guys that combine these other needs, whether it's perimeter shooting and rebounding and defense, or a combination of these things. They must be significantly better defensively next year to become elite again. And that should be the only standard for North Carolina. They need to replace some really good perimeter shooting. I think that that's enough to be elite. They must get significantly better on the backboards to become elite. They must get significantly better on the defensive end of the floor to become elite. Both those things, all three of those things must be addressed in the portal. There are a lot of needs for Carolina to fill through the portal. This, I think, will be the most challenging one. Probably the hardest one to identify a monetary value to. It might also be the hardest one to recruit because you say, hey, we need elite defenders, so come on. Everybody wants to be identified by what they do offensively. What are my statistics? We don't have great statistics for defensive players. What are my stats? They have to sell this need in the portal as well. You can find it the way of rim protectors. Maybe the point guard they bring in is better, forcing teams to start their offense a little bit further out than Elliot Cadeau was. There are various ways to do it, which elevates everybody's defensive performance as a whole. There are ways to do it, but they must find a way to achieve this through the portal. If you're excited about the opportunity that Carolina will be much better defensively because of what it does in the portal, go ahead and click like on this video. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel if you have not. And remember, we're giving away free THI, free 1-year subscriptions to THI. We're now shooting for 15,000 on Facebook. We're already going to give away a couple. We're going to give away more if we hit 15,000. Got to get 40,000 followers on Twitter, 20,000 subscribers here on YouTube. We're going to be giving away a lot of THI. So if you haven't hopped on any of those things, do so now, and you may win a free 1-year subscription to Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm AJ, and I thank you very much for stopping by.